Reason has won that battle. But what my idea was, and maybe this is a mini pitch to Professor Dawkins' Reader Foundation, is that we can take these YouTube videos, which have been so useful to us, speaking English, and I know that they're translated to French and German and other languages, but could we start subtitling them, or maybe voice-overing in Persian, in Farsi, and sending them out on the YouTube again, so that they get a whole new audience and communicate our ideas to people who are ready to receive them, I'm quite sure. They're much safer now because there is the Tor system on the internet where you can Google Tor, and what they will do is they will give you an IP address that appears, if you're in Tehran, that you're actually in Bern or Los Angeles or Dublin. So they won't be caught by the authorities. And I think we have an excellent opportunity here to communicate our views to an audience that we really shouldn't neglect, because they are our friends and colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that suggestion, and I will certainly look into the possibility of doing that. It's the kind of thing that my foundation might very well love to do. Thank you. Brilliant idea.
This is my first atheist event. I usually go to skeptics events and see Rebecca and Professor Dawkins. And at those events, a common question that we ask is, do we have to be skeptical? Is it appropriate to be a skeptic about everything, including religion, or can we leave that bit out because for pragmatic reasons, discussing homeopathy and all these other things, you don't want to offend people by bringing up religion. Obviously, that's not a concern here, where atheism is the whole point. But I was thinking about, does it work the other way? For instance, when you're talking to somebody and you're discussing their religion, should you leave the skepticism about other things aside, or can you say, your lucky rabbit's foot isn't helping either?
Well, I mean, speaking as someone who's probably been a bit more active on the skeptic circuit than on the atheist circuit, I do usually come from a position of skepticism, and I try to encourage skepticism as a tool amongst atheists as well. There are some very prominent atheists who aren't necessarily skeptics. Bill Maher springs to mind as a U.S. broadcaster who made a really great movie, you might have heard of, Religious. But he's an atheist, and he's an outspoken atheist, but he also believes that vaccines cause autism, that science-based medicine is wrong, that we should only use alternative medicine. So, I certainly am a big fan of continuing. I feel that skepticism is just a tool, and everyone here has presumably applied that tool to their religious beliefs and come to the conclusion that they're atheists. I do encourage everyone to continue applying that tool to the other areas of their life, because we can continue to make the world a more rational place in other ways.
I'm pretty sure that in the movie Religious that Bill Maher actually said that he's not an atheist. I'm pretty sure he said he was an agnostic. And there's another problem. I gave a speech to the atheist community in Boston not long ago. I was talking about the difference between atheism and agnosticism. And one of the reasons that so many atheists in the world, like me, did not realize they were atheists was because of that statement of supposedly knowing that there was no God. No reasonable person takes that stance. Indeed, Carl Sagan, who many of us revere as one of the leading atheists of our time, he did not call himself an atheist. He denied that title, because he said that an atheist knows a great deal more than I do. But it's only because he was a victim of the society much the same way that I was. I was led to believe a falsehood my entire life. It was misdefined. And if you are not convinced that a God exists, then you are atheist. If you do, and it's perfectly reasonable to be an agnostic atheist. You don't believe that a God exists, and you say that there's no way that we can know if God exists or not, what its properties are. That's the agnosticism. It's a choice between what you know and what you don't know. I prefer not to say that I know what I don't know. But neither do I possess a conviction in the existence of God. Because not all about atheism. Atheism is a conclusion that I reached because I am about empirical rationalism, about not stating what I can't verify. It's one thing to say that you believe something, okay, fine. But when you start stating it as fact, then I want you to back it up. And if you can't back it up, most societies, I think, would call that a lie. And that's the position I have to do. Simply being honest in my inquiry about the world has inevitably led me to atheism. And I think if your perspective is like mine, where you don't make allowances for certain beliefs, you will end up atheist also.